It's not the future that you're afraid of. It's repeating past mistakes that terrifies you. Hi, my name is Sharika Matthews, life coach, relationship expert, and the creator of Feminine Success Mastery. And today I want to talk to you about how to make sure your next relationship is not the same as your last relationship. Because if you're here with me right now, you have been in a relationship that was toxic. You've been in a relationship that was bad for you. You've had your heart broken. You've probably been taken advantage of. You probably had some bad experiences in relationships. So it's natural for you to not want to repeat that. Who wants to repeat a bad experience? I know I don't. But sometimes we find ourselves in this pattern of where we're making the same mistakes in dating over and over and over again. And so we want to have some awarenesses and some tools and some skills in order to make sure that we're not constantly repeating those mistakes, so that our next relationship can be the relationship. Or at minimum, we're just not making the same mistakes and we're growing and we're learning. And so we want to first take a look at, what does it cost you when you are in this cycle of repeating mistakes in relationship? You're in this cycle of recreating the same relationship that you had in the previous relationship or two relationships before that. It's going to cost you your heart, because those types of relationship always breaks your heart. It's going to cost you your trust. You're going to develop trust issues with men, trust issues with yourself, because now you don't know if you can trust yourself to make the right decisions, and trust issues with God, because you're just like, okay, God, really? You're gonna bring me the same dude again, just like my last one, and that didn't work out? Okay, God, really? Like, what are we doing? I don't know if you talk to God like that. I know sometimes I do. I'm like, okay, God, like, what are we doing? So you don't want those trust real issues to roll into your relationship with yourself and a relationship with God. Repeating mistakes in relationship plays on your insecurities and deepens your insecurities. And if you don't have the opportunity to actually heal those insecurities will keep you from finding the relationship and finding the love that you truly desire. And it also wastes your resources, wastes your time and energy. When you're in the cycle of repeating relationships and having the same type of men that you're in a relationship with, it takes a lot of energy out of you. It takes up your time, because that's one thing God is not creating more of, and that's time. We have a finite time here on this earth, and it's going to take up your resources. Like, you could have been in a situation where you were in a position to get married. Like, you had bought the dress, or he had bought the ring, or you had booked the venue, and all of a sudden, I don't want to get married. So you've wasted a lot of time and a lot of resources. Or maybe you invested in him. Maybe you bought him a car, or you bought a house together, or things of that nature. There's a lot that goes into there's a lot that happens when you are constantly repeating the same types of mistakes and attracting the same type of men and attract the same type of relationships in your life. And so we want to look at, how can we stop that pattern? And how can we do something differently? So I have 5 things I'm going to share with you today on how to make that happen. Number 1, learn the lesson. Simple, but we need to practice it. So one thing that I do, and I am very adamant about this, and I tell all my coaching clients to do this: write it down. Keep a dedicated notebook for lessons learned. In my journal, I actually have a section called Lessons Learned. And that is where you can write down all the lessons that you've learned about yourself, lessons you've learned about men, lessons you've learned about God, lessons you've learned about life. Any type of lessons, write down those lessons learned. And you don't have to write it in narrative form. You don't have to tell the story. Just simply say, I have learned that I don't want to be on the struggle bus with a man who's on the struggle bus. If he invites me onto the struggle bus with him, I have the right to say no. And this was I don't know if I would call this a lesson learned for me, but it was definitely an experience for me. Years ago, I was approached by a guy who wanted to date me, be in a relationship with me, But he had chronic health issues. He could not keep a job because of those chronic health issues. And he had to stay close to home because of those chronic health issues. And so I declined his invitation to date him because not that I had anything against his health issues. It was the fact that the way I desired my life to go, I wanted to travel, I wanted to experience things. That's going to take money. That's going to take resources. And he could not give me that type of life. And so I had to learn that it's, number one, okay to say no. I don't have to date everybody who desires to date me. And number two, it's okay to want what I want. We clearly wanted two different things out of life. And in his mind, he said it was okay for him to ask a woman to sacrifice so much to be with him. And it is okay. He just had to find the right woman who was willing to make that sacrifice. So write down your lessons learned. And your lessons learned isn't just all the bad things. You know, like, you don't have to, lesson learned is don't co-sign for a car for a guy you just met 3 months ago. Okay, that's a negative experience that resulted in lessons learned. But some of your lessons learned could just be always speak up for yourself. Tell the truth. It could be any number of things. But the goal here is to write it down and review that list. Write it down in bullet form or just a numbered list. Have it to be no more than 2, maybe 3 sentences. Keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it to the point, so that as you read, it's like, yep, I remember that. Yep, I can implement that. Yes, I need to remember that I can ask for what it is I desire. I need to remember X, Y, and Z. Keep it short and sweet so that you can review this list once a week, once a month, or whatever regular interval that you need to keep the lessons learned in the front of your mind, because repetition is the mother of learning. So when you repeatedly read these things, repeatedly say these things, repeatedly have these things in the forefront of your mind, then your behavior begins to change with it. That's how you learn the lesson. That's how you implement the lesson. And that's how you get changed behavior. So number one, learn the lesson. All right. Number two, take notes of your dating pattern. You really need to notice, are you dating the same type of men? And notice the question or the statement as I phrased it. It's not take note of the men who are attracted to you. I need you to take notes of the men that you are attracted to. Meaning that, are you attracted to men who are going to be a project for you? Are you attracted to men who are always on the struggle bus? Are you attracted to men who are not physically attractive? I had to get real with myself on that one, because I had a belief at one point in time that I could not attract a man who was good looking, because good looking men are not attracted to women like me. I had to get real with myself at one point in time, because I found myself always attracted to men who are on the struggle bus, because I found joy in helping people. But that was part of me being a coach. But I don't want to date a client. I don't want to date a man who's going to be my client. I want a man who is a partner. So I don't need to be attracted to men who are on the struggle bus. And actually, that belief came from something I was taught growing up, is that you want to find a man that you can build with. And I had to, once I realized I was taking that phrase a little too literally, I had to reframe that and tell myself, yes, I want someone whom I can build with, but he needs to already be building. He needs to have, a structure, a foundation, a house or something. Not really physically, but he needs to have evidence in his life that, number one, he has the skill set to build something. Number two, he has a desire to build something. And number three, he's working towards something so that I can partner with him and he can partner with me and we can build something together. So you want to take note of your dating pattern and understand what it says about who you are and what you believe is possible for your life. Number three, focus on the good that you want to take from your last relationship into your next relationship. I remember I was dating a guy and he broke up with me. Oh, he broke my heart, because I was just like, he seemed to have about 80 to 90% of the things I wanted on my list, right? And so when he broke up with me, I was angry. Like, I was like, how dare he? And he just used me to just break my heart, blah blah blah. I created the storyline, right? But what I realized after I got over my feelings, because those were just my feelings talking, it wasn't fact, right? What I realized that I really did have a good relationship with him. It sucked that he broke up with me, but just because he broke up with me does not mean that he's a villain in my story. It doesn't mean that the relationship wasn't good, and it doesn't mean that I didn't learn some things in that relationship that I desire in my next relationship. And so that's what I mean. You want to take a look at your past relationships and make note of the experiences that you had. Make note of how you felt, the good things you felt in that relationship, where you may have felt cherished, where you have felt honored, where you felt like you were really a queen in your castle, where you felt really supported and you felt really adored and loved. You want to remember and hold on to those things and say, these are the things from my last relationship I really enjoyed. They were really positive experiences. And those are the things I want to recreate in my next relationship. Yeah, we know some bad things happen, but we want to focus more on what it is we do want than what we don't want. Because if we focus on what we don't want, we're going to create more of what we don't want. Whatever you focus on grows. Remember that. So you want to make note of the good experiences and say, yes, I want that, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit of an elevated version of what it is I experienced that was really good in my life. So you want to focus on what you do want to bring from your last relationship into your next relationship. Number 4, you really want to take the time to heal your relationship with yourself and with God. Because one of the things that I am very adamant about is that there are 3 main types of relationships: a relationship with yourself, a relationship with God, and relationships with other people. And you cannot have a healthy relationship with anyone else until you have healthy relationships with yourself and with God. And oftentimes when we are in this pattern of repeating mistakes and repeating bad relationships, it diminishes our relationships with ourselves and with God. Because one of the cornerstones of relationships is trust. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust God, you're not going to be able to trust anyone else. If you are worried about how things are going to go in your next relationship, revisit where you are in your relationship with yourself and with God. Do you believe that you're worthy? Do you believe that you deserve it? Do you believe that God is able? Do you believe that God wants the best for you? Are you expecting a miracle? Revisit your relationship with yourself and with God and heal that relationship first before you decide to move forward to another relationship. Because if you don't, you do run the risk of repeating the same exact pattern as you had from your last relationship. And last but not least, don't settle for better than the last. It's easy to find ourselves in relationships and be happy in a relationship only because it's better than your last. Instead, you want to seek a relationship that is the relationship for you. It's the right relationship with you. It's a relationship where you can have fun, but a relationship where you grow. It's a relationship where there's love and there's grace. It's a relationship where there is forgiveness and support. It's a relationship where he brings out the best version of you and you bring out the best version of him. It's a relationship where you have a vision for the future together. It's a relationship that is dynamic, that is fun, that is spiritual, that is raunchy at times. It's a relationship that is specifically designed for you to help you grow into the best version of yourself, to help you live your best life, and you do the same thing in return. It's a relationship where the love of God flows through you and to the other person, and the love of God flows through him and flows through him into you, so that you can experience the love of God through another person. And so those are the things we want to look for in our relationships. So don't just settle for better than the last. Go for the goal. Go for what you truly desire in your life, and go for the best that God has to offer for you. All right, you guys, I hope that this video was a blessing to you. If you're an ambitious and high-achieving woman who's looking for a community of other high-achieving women, I would invite you to join me in my Facebook group, Relationship Success for high achieving women. You can find that group by Googling or typing that name in the search bar, or you can just simply go to relationshipsuccessforwomen.com. All right, you guys, thank you again so much for joining me here today. Any questions or comments, leave them below. If this was a blessing, hit the share button. Until next time, be bold, walk in your brilliance, and be completely unstoppable in what it is your heart truly desires in life and in your relationships. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.